Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm Rantoinette. We got a lot of stories to get into today. Sorry I've been off for the last couple of days. My band just played a show, and forgive me if my voice sounds a little rough. That's probably got something to do with it, other than the fact that I was sick for a whole week last week. And yesterday I had to deal with some personal drama with my broken down car. But anyway, I'm back, baby, and we got a lot of stuff to get into today. Trump's got cankles and vein problems. He can't remember whether or not his super smart MIT uncle taught the Unabomber, and the Epstein saga continues despite his best efforts at distracting everybody. Let's see. CBS fires Stephen Colbert over the Skydance deal and does a $1.5 billion deal with the South Park boys. We'll get into that. Israel is doing dastardly, horrible, wretched shit in Gaza. Starvation, shooting children. I don't want to talk about it, but we have to. Corporate Dems help pass the Genius Act bill, which has got to do with cryptocurrency. That's no bueno. AOC votes to fund the Iron Dome. Pretty disappointing. The Obamacare, those premiums are about to start skyrocketing due to the passage of the big ugly bill and the cuts to Medicaid. An 82-year-old man, a Chilean immigrant who'd been living in the country for a long time, was sent to Guatemala recently. And Hulk Hogan dies at 71 years old, and got plenty to say about old Hulk Hogan. And just one more thing, rest in peace to one of the rock and roll greats out there, Ozzy Osbourne. You will be missed, and he went out like a champion just a couple of weeks ago doing his final tour, and he was surrounded by loved ones. Anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to Ozzy. He was the man. Anyway, we got a lot more other than those stories. And before I get started, if you wouldn't mind, please liking and subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. Really helps me out in the old algorithmics. And I'll dance at your wedding. Anyway, let's get into it. We have got Trump doing everything he possibly can to avoid talking about Epstein. I mean, from let's make Coca-Cola Mexican again to changing the name of the Redskins, back to the Redskins from the Washington Commanders. I think he's got something to do with like the Cleveland Indians as well, and wants to go back to that name. He does some crazy shit with an AI video with Obama. Anything to distract you. Look, I'm being mean to brown people. Please stop talking about Epstein, whatever you do. Anyway, we got Jake Tapper. That is not his porn name. He's doing a little chat up about what's been going on with the Epstein files.
Sources tell CNN that U.S. Attorney General Bondi told President Trump that his name was in the Epstein files. Let's bring in CNN's Jeff Zeleny at the White House. Jeff?
Jake, we are learning this evening that the president was briefed, as you said, by his Attorney General Pam Bondi back in May that his name was mentioned in the Epstein files. That is what we do know. What we do not know is the context in which his name appeared. Of course, it has long been established that the president was a longtime friend of Jeffrey Epstein back in the 1990s in New York. They were featured
such a long time ago.
Parties together. Jeffrey Epstein attended one of Donald Trump's weddings.
Look how chubby I was back then.
And on from there. But what this does is return the questions, the unanswered questions, back to the White House. The White House, of course, has been working overtime trying to change the subject.
By the way,
deflection, with the distraction. But what this shows is that
that picture right there, that is Epstein at Donald Trump's wedding, which I found out he did on a Monday because he's a cheap bastard. He had a Monday wedding in December, no less. I believe it was like a couple of days either before or after Christmas. So A December wedding on a Monday. God, Donald Trump is so fucking cheap. Anyway, I'm sorry. Just a little side note for you.
The Attorney General told the president that, look, your name is mentioned in here. Of course, several other names, many other names are mentioned in these volumes of files, but it does not answer the questions that just still remain about this entire matter. Now, White House officials are telling us, look, this is not surprising. The president knew his name would be in there, but they are saying that
see, they come over for space, folks.
The president severed his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein over a real estate fight in Florida in the mid 2000s here.
Yes, he broke up with Epstein, his best bud, not because of PDF files, if you know what I mean, but because of a real estate deal. Of course. But of course.
What this does, again, return the conversation back to the president's name being in the files. Of course, the files have not been released. There's been an uproar over that. And many people are wondering if it is because of the Trump mentions in here. Again, we don't know the context of how many times his name appears, but we do know the president was briefed on this by his attorney general.
Yeah, we should reiterate, this doesn't mean he did anything wrong. There's a lot of hearsay
Sure.
in investigative documents by definition, but it's sure interesting.
Yeah, we could speculate, can't we? I mean, seriously. I mean, I would love to speculate on that. I mean, that's just me. You know, the guy was friends with him for 15, 20 years, lived relatively close to one another. I believe Epstein in a recording said that he inherited Trump in the divorce from that wedding that he went to. That, I mean, how would you expect that not to lead to divorce? You married your wife around Christmas on a Monday. You know, tell me you don't love your wife without telling me you love your wife. I mean, for fuck's sakes, it's ridiculous. Oh, by the way, this was the AI video that Donald Trump put out to, you know, please his MAGA base. Look, I am going to. This is what I'm going to do to Obama.
Video appears to be manipulated footage of an Oval Office meeting that took place in November 2016 between Obama, then the president, and Mr. Trump, who had days earlier won the election. The digitally altered video shows FBI agents bursting into the meeting, pushing Obama to the ground, then putting him in handcuffs.
By the way, I mean, that's pretty fucking dark. But, you know, the fact that he is playing the Village People, zesty Trump, loves a good show tune, loves the Village People. Could you imagine he, in another life, he could have been a very, very happy gay man. But instead, he is our president. Yay, fan-fucking-tastic. So, yet again, another distraction we've got here. Carolyn, leave it out, darling, because all you do is fucking lie. She brings on Tulsi Gabbard to the news story is that, you know, remember back in 2016, 2017, around the election, the whole thing about Russia is all fake news. I don't know what they're talking about. It had nothing to do with Russia. First of all, there was absolutely enough for the Department of Justice, Obama, all of them to look into it. I mean, I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, there was that whole Papadopoulos guy who was just running his mouth off, talking about Russia and the influence and all that stuff. Whether or not it actually influenced the election, that's up for debate. But the fact that they did try to meddle, I mean, hell, America tries to meddle in other countries' elections. Do you think that Russia doesn't want to do that with us? But it definitely warranted an investigation. Anyway, so now the news story is they got Tulsi Gabbard out there. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is trying to make up for the fact that she fucked up with Donald Trump a couple of months ago. Excuse me. My apologies. I'm still under the weather. But she's trying to make up for the fact that a couple of weeks ago, with the whole Iran bombing thing, it was back, actually, I believe it was back in March. She goes, no, they don't have any weapons. They don't have any nuclear weapons. Donald Trump before he bombed Iran, said that she's full of shit. She doesn't know what she's talking about, even though you did hire her for national intelligence. But sure, man, go on with your bad self. Anyway, Carolyn Leavitt brings out Tulsi Gabbard, and Tulsi's here to, spin a tale that, yes, Russia did try to interfere, and the only thing that came out was Hillary Clinton, but he had files on Donald Trump too. So he wasn't trying to do this, election manipulation to get Trump to win. He was just trying to mess up everybody's thing. So we got Tulsi Gabbard here. Let's see.
To publicly explain
I'm going to skip
why he
ahead
chose
till we get
steal
to old
these
Tulsi,
innocent souls.
because nobody wants
May
to
God
hear
bless
this
and
bitch
watch
talk.
over everyone affected by this unimaginable. Tulsi, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. At President Trump's direction and with...
By the way, she is totally giving Cruella de Vil, isn't she? Cruella de Tulsi. She got that whole white suit thing going on. She's part of this Hare Krishna cult. And that's why you always see her wear white at like functions like this. Side point. But anyway, here we go.
Important coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman.
I'm surprised we don't see strings attached to this. It's so conspiratorial. The creation of the Russia hoax.
Rick Crawford. Today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and America.
Yes, our democratic republic, which Donald Trump tried to overthrow on January 6, 2021. Yeah, because he cares so much about democracy. And this whole Epstein story just not fucking dying. It just won't die. It won't go away, folks. But let's talk about Russia again. Let's talk about, let's talk about Obama. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton. Let's talk about anything else, please. Make it stop. Make it stop. Let's see. Do I really want to listen to this? Let's give it a couple minutes, a couple of seconds.
Voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true.
Look, I have never been a big let's get behind Russia thing. I remember the whole thing. It took like 18 months. It ended in that big investigation, which Bill Barr kind of cock-blocked before it came out and said there was nothing here, even though there was plenty there to go on. But I mean, ultimately, what they should have gone after Donald Trump for was shit like Epstein or just straight up corruption. But they went down this Russia rabbit hole. And, everybody on MSNBC and CNN with their hair on fire every day is a new revelation. Oh, my God, is this the thing that's going to break Donald Trump? And it never did. And it never did. And now we've got Tulsi Gabbard just unearthing this dead corpse of a fucking story. Honestly, we don't really need to hear any of this. I'm just going to skip over it. But that's the news story. Let's see what other kinds of distractions he's got going on out there.
Well, we're talking about more than 230,000 pages of the files, and some of it is redacted.
Oh, sorry. This is the, he released the MLK Files. Hey, promises made, promises kept. Look at this, MLK.
Sensitive information. It was released by the Director of National Intelligence after President Trump promised that these documents would be declassified. Actually, he signed an executive order just a couple days after inauguration for this and other cases. And there are many details in here, including about the FBI investigation, including from conversations of the former cellmate to the convicted killer, who is James Earl Ray. And
by the way, I am not saying that I did not want this to come out. Of course, I want this to come out. But having it come out now, just so it can distract away from the Epstein story, it is so bloody obvious. It is, I mean, it could not be more obvious. Please look over here. I have keys. Look, I'm jiggling this shiny thing over here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. MLK. Mexican soda over here with sugar. Oh my God. Washington Redskins. Come on. Oh, I put Obama in handcuffs. Look, 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 look. Give me a fucking break, man. Anyway, the family, the MLK family, they're a little mixed about it. They're glad that it came out, but they're also, you know, they they kind of hit Trump with this. So check it out.
You know, again, it's very lengthy, and the King family was actually a little bit skeptical and objected over their release because obviously this is extremely personal. The two living children released a statement saying that the files should be viewed within their full historical context, and they condemned any attempts to misuse the information in ways intended to undermine our father's legacy. Now, the daughter, Bernice King, had spoken out also, and she posted a picture of her father on X yesterday. Take a look, along with the caption, "Now do the Epstein files." Of course.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. She's like, yeah, man, thanks for finally releasing that stuff. Now, let's go back to Epstein again. I love it. I love it. Bernice, your last name might be King, but you are my queen. Anyway, moving on. We got Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett, I did a story on him last week where he he was so excited about, you know, signing up for the bill, which he did not want to sign on to the big ugly bill that cut all the things. But Donald Trump paid him a visit and brought him some merch, signed some stuff, got him all giddy. He's like, oh my God, I just met a celebrity. Donald Trump is the coolest guy in the world. And of course I voted for the thing. Anyway, you know, Donald Trump got him out here on the news singing his praises. And you know, God, dadgummit, just because he was on the plane doesn't mean that he did anything wrong. I mean, it's just another dadgum plane. I mean, look, I don't know about you, but every time I go out to the airport, if I can't get on a flight, I just kind of stand around with a whole bunch of other people with private planes, and they go, hey, Tim, you want to come over here and get on this here plane and we'll take you somewhere? And it just happens like that. You know, I'm kind of poor. I've got a daughter that loves to ride horses. So, you know, I'm broke as hell. You know, I don't know nothing about nothing.
Let me just ask you about this effort to get these files released. As of right now, there are 10 Republicans, including yourself, who've signed Congressman Massey's what's called a discharge petition. It forces legislation onto the floor of the House for a vote. It requires 218 signatures. Presumably a lot of Democrats are going to support it too.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I just forgot to mention that. It's now twice now that the Republicans blocked the release of those files. They've done it twice, and in the last one, good old Mike Johnson just says, fuck it, we're going on recess until September. We're just going to, you can't get a vote out of us. We're not even going to be in fucking town. We're leaving. Bye. Bye, Felicia. We will do anything not to, you know, offend the big, beautiful, beefy president, big old sweaty boy, Don. We'll do anything.
Republican leaders seem to want this issue to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're going to get 218 signatures on the discharge petition to force it for a vote? And how many Republicans do you think will join you?
None.
I have no earthly idea, Jake. You know this town buries secrets. You wrote a book about it, and it's doing very well because America agrees with you. This town buries secrets. I mean, do you honestly believe Lee Harvey Oswald shot John F. Kennedy in the front and the back, and this miraculous lead bullet that had hardly a
What are we talking about here, man? We're talking about the Epstein files? We're talking about Lee Harvey Oswald.
On it was found on a gurney in a hospital shortly after the president passed away. You know, this town does not give up its secrets easy, and it's fighting and kicking. And the reason,
honey, you are the town. You are the town. What are you talking about? This town doesn't give up its secrets. You were sitting in that chair right now, not giving up any fucking secrets. Talking about something that happened in 1963. Do I think that there was something fishy going on with JFK? Of course I do. Of course I do. But that is not pertinent to this particular conversation, Mr. Burchett.
I'm worried about these files now is the fact that the Biden administration, who in my opinion has a history of corruption, has tampered with these files, and we're never going to get to the bottom of it. I think stuff could have been placed in those files.
That's right. That's right. You tell him, Tim. It was Biden. Biden, who could not remember his own middle name. He kept calling himself Robert, but it was Robinette. Very much like a girl's name. Anyway, yes, the man who could not remember his own name was hiding the files. It was a master plan between him and Hillary and Obama. Do you remember his middle name was Hussein Obama? Barack Hussein Obama. Come on, man.
Do I have proof? Well, no, I don't, but I have a gut feeling and I have a historical reference, which is every dadgum time something like this happens in this town, it gets covered up, and it needs to stop. And I salute President Trump for pushing to move forward on those records that they have. Because I do want them to be. I would like them to be filtered a little bit. I don't want them.
Oh yeah, we got to filter that stuff out. You know. Donald Trump says all of the credible evidence. You like that word credible? A lot is hanging on that word credible evidence. Anything with my name in it, not very credible. I'm just saying, not credible at all.
And innocence in some of those people that flew, as you mentioned earlier.
Right, but you do want more than just the grand jury testimony that he has called for. You would like more in a responsible way, but as many files as possible that can be released.
Yes, sir.
All right. Congressman Tim.
Yes, sir. And the president's, yes, sir. I agree. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
No, go ahead. You're going to make a point. I'm sorry.
Now, I was going to say the president takes a lot of heat for what he said earlier, but, Trump has an incredible strategy. They said, the big, beautiful bill won't pass by July 4th. What happened? Trump worked it. It came out by July.
Look at the look on Jake Tapper's face. It's just the pained look on his face. It's like, dude, this is the job that you picked, man. And what? You're done with your book tour on, going after Joe Biden? We got concentration camps and fascism just popping off all over America, but he's on a book tour about Joe Biden, being a dullard and going through early stages of dementia. Congratulations, man. Nobody could tell that. We needed you to write the book about it. But anyway, this dadgum guy right here with his folksy ways, I am trying my damnedest to be known as the dumbest Republican representative. I know that Tommy Tuberville actually has the trophy, and I am determined that I'm going to take it from him in the contest of 2025 for the dumbest representative of America, me, Tim Burchett. Here's another little bit of distraction. We got, now I mentioned last week that the Department of Education is getting gutted by the wrestling lady right here, Linda McMahon. I cannot believe that he put her in charge, but of course he did. That is totally on brand. Wrestling lady doesn't know dick about dick. She thought AI was A1 steak sauce. But she is here to distract you and uncover the real problem with the education department. I'll give you a hint. She's lying.
Over the past several weeks, the Department of Education has notified the Department of Education in California, as well as the California Interscholastic Federation, that they were in violation of Title IX. They were allowing men to compete in women's sports. Now, this is after years of their being in violation of Title IX. We informed them that if they did not change, that we were going to refer these cases to the Department of Justice.
Thank you so much for using my people as yet again another distraction. We go after brown people, we go after black people, we go after former presidents, we go after trans folk. Oh yes, we will do anything to distract you good MAGA folk out there from the truth that yes, me and Jeff, we was pals, man. We trade ladies all the time. I'd go over to his house. He'd find me a nice little young 16-year-old fresh nubile girl to have my way with. Yeah, of course, but don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to the trans people. Yeah, man, that's the biggest problem in America. Trans girls in sports.
We have done exactly that.
Thank you, Secretary McMahon, for all of your hard work. And today, the Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against California Department of Education and the governing body for women's sports in California.
Jesus Christ, man. Haven't you done enough to California? I mean, for God's sakes, the military, just and now you're going after him over trans stuff. You're so silly, man. Anyway, this is a little bit more recent. Ghislaine Maxwell received limited immunity during meetings with the Deputy Attorney General, sources say. So Donald Trump recently sent his former defense lawyer, who, by the way, I believe that defense lawyer lost the case for Donald Trump. I can't remember. He's got so many defense lawyers, but now he's on the Department of Justice, man, because of course he is. I'm going to bring in all my own personal lawyers and put them in place. He had that dude. His name is Todd Blanche, which, by the way, that's kind of on the nose for whitewashing, wouldn't you say? Anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell, whose sources told ABC, initiated the meetings with the Department of Justice. She is desperately trying to get a plea deal so she can get out of jail. And Donald Trump might let her out. He might. If she agrees to pay ball and make sure that she says, yes, it was just Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton and all the stuff about Donald Trump, that's all fake news. If I can get her to say that, she might get herself a pardon. This woman right here, this bitch right here, she was in on it with Jeffrey. Virginia Giuffre, who sadly has passed away recently, she told a story about how they double teamed her. That nasty bitch and the Jeffrey Epstein with a fucking anvil face. Those two did a little tag team on her, grooming her, getting her in bed naked, doing little things with their hands and stuff, both of them. She was in the room. She is a fucking PD file as well. Anyway, she might get off. She might get out of jail. Sorry. Let's see. Answer question for about 9 hours over 2 days, which, by the way, this was supposed to be in front of either the Senate or the House, where Democrats and Republicans could both ask questions. But no. We can't have that in public. Let's send in my former lawyer, and he's going to feel her out and see what she's got to say. And if she wants to play ball, you know how it works. The immunity allowed Maxwell to freely answer Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's questions without fear that her responses could later be used against her, sources said. Well, she's already in jail for being a child predator. The so-called, pro-offer immunity is commonly granted to individual prosecutors are seeking to make cooperators in criminal case. Maxwell has already been tried, convicted, and sentenced for sex trafficking of underage girls. Here, let's see if this is probably goes over some of the stuff I just said.
Case President Trump refusing to rule out pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently serving 20 years behind bars for sex trafficking. The president, on his way to Scotland, said, "I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about." Meanwhile, sources tell ABC,
"I'm allowed to pardon her, but it's something that I've not thought about." I think you just thought of it, dog.
Maxwell received limited immunity for her 2 days of meetings. And what we're learning tonight about what she was asked. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Good morning. Tonight, President Trump's refusing to rule out a pardon for Jeffrey Epstein's former companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's now serving 20 years in prison for sex trafficking teenage girls.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's cooperating?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
As the president spoke, Maxwell was meeting for the second day in a row with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who until recently was Trump's personal lawyer. Trump once socialized with Maxwell and Epstein. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they'd had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years. Maxwell has long faced questions.
Ask you about all the allegations that have come out, Ghislaine. Happy New Year.
When she was arrested, the president said he wished her well. Sources tell ABC
I wish you well. I wish everybody well.
Meetings with the Deputy Attorney General, and that she was granted a limited form of immunity so she could answer questions without fear it could later be used against her.
She was asked maybe about 100 different people. She answered questions about everybody. And she didn't hold anything back.
In May, Attorney General Pam Bondi reportedly told the president his name appeared in the Justice Department's Epstein files multiple times. Trump denies that briefing ever happened.
No, I was never briefed, no.
Being named is not evidence of wrongdoing. Bondi has refused to release the files despite previously promising to do so. Trump, whose top supporters, including FBI Director Kash Patel, spread conspiracy theories about Epstein.
He committed suicide. He committed suicide. That Kash Patel right there. That Kash right there. Cross-eyed Kash Patel doesn't know which way to look.
Is eager to change the subject.
I'm not focused on conspiracy theories.
But the story hasn't gone away, which sent the Justice Department's #2 official to Florida to meet the woman who helped Epstein recruit, groom, and abuse girls over the course of a decade. Annie Farmer was one of the women who testified against Maxwell.
She didn't just procure girls and women for Epstein, but she herself participated in their abuse.
What Maxwell wants now, to get out of prison.
Of course, everybody knows Miss Maxwell would welcome any relief. She's been in very difficult conditions.
Could you imagine being her lawyer? Oh my God, kill yourself, man. Sorry. Not really, but, you know, if I was her lawyer, I would think about those things.
For 5 years, and so she would welcome any relief.
Her lawyer tells me she did not ask for a pardon today, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche did not offer one. But late today, the president making clear it's not off the table.
A lot of people have asked about pardon. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons.
That's something to be handled in the back room, folks, not in front of public. We don't wash our laundry in public now, do we, folks? By the way, this was the woman who was on the Epstein case, and Donald Trump just fired her ass. So, you know, if you ever really want to get down to the truth, wouldn't you go to the person that actually prosecuted the case? Hell, man, if you are trying to figure out these documents and the Epstein files, and this is the first time they're talking to Maxwell? I mean, give me a fucking break. Jesus Christ. No, we've talked to everybody. Nobody knows anything. Well, what about Ghislaine Maxwell? Oh, we wouldn't want to ask her. We wouldn't, that's a little bit of an imposition. She's in jail, I mean, just leave her be. We don't need to talk to her about that. How do you not talk to her? But yes, let's fire Moren Comey, who, yes, she is the daughter of James Comey, who got fired by Donald Trump in his first term. And, of course, I'm sure that there is a slight bit of, I don't want the information to come out, but firing Comey's daughter, that's a bonus. I'm sure there's a little bit of that in there. Justice Department has fired Moren Comey, the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, and the federal prosecutor in Manhattan who worked the case against Sean Diddy Combs. Well, I mean, maybe she's not that great. Fucking Sean Diddy Combs is going to get, what, a couple of months in a minimum security prison and then pay a fine. And Jeff Epstein, 3 people familiar with the matter told the Associated Press on Wednesday there was no specific reason given for her firing, according to one of those people. They spoke to the AP on the condition of anonymity to discuss personal matters. Anyway, Trump fired her and sent her packing. So anyway, it's a lot of stuff. It is a lot of stuff. Donald Trump, I know what you're trying to do, man. I know you're trying to distract. I know you're trying to obfuscate. I've never used the word enigma, but this story is quite an enigma, if you ask me. Have you ever noticed? I've noticed it's an enigma. Anyway, I know he's desperate to try to distract from this, but man, you cannot teach your people to be conspiracy theorists about everything at all times. And then the biggest conspiracy theory of all time drops in their laps, and then you're doing everything you can to stop them from thinking about it. I know that's what you want, man, but this just so happens to be the first time that MAGA is not following you around like you got candy bars shooting at your ass. And I love it. Anyway, I'm sure that there's going to be more to come after this. Donald Trump, he cannot keep his mouth shut. And, what do you expect from a inadequate, mediocre, fascist regime, but mediocre fascism? Anyway, let's see what happens in the days to come. I am sure there will be updates coming soon. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.